another video where today we do talk about the new iPad Air M3. Um, it's crazy. Apple's been dropping a couple of stuff. We've seen that 2025 has been such a weird year with new products because there's some that are great out there from different companies, and then there's Apple. and,
All right.
and we're getting stuff and
We're
we're
off to a,
talking about it.
off to a great start.
Great start. But no, I mean, it is a great product. I think we're at a point where Apple is taking this perspective of we have to update our products to make sure that they're up to date with Apple Intelligence, which is their biggest push right now. And that's fair. But because of that, now we have a new generation iPad Air that has the M3.
Yeah, which the last one dropped like a little over a year ago.
M2,
So
that's right.
kind of a quick refresh. Prior to that, it was 2022, Apple dropped the M1 iPad Air.
Yes.
Right? 2024, Apple dropped M2. And then they were doing this whole thing like a week or so ago where they showed like the cool, you saw the marketing material.
Oh,
It was,
with the Air?
Air with
Yep.
like the dash through it or whatever. So obviously, like everyone was like MacBook Air. And they're
Yeah.
like, yeah, that and iPad Air with
In
the
Mac
M3.
Mini.
Right. You're right.
I didn't even know.
Right,
I just
right.
found that out.
Yeah, so this is the 2025 M3 iPad Air. We have the MacBook Air coming next, but you ready to get into...
Let's give it a shot.
looks exactly the
Question
same.
mark?
It looks exactly the same. So, like we mentioned, Apple's kind of been on a tear, right? Updating their product lines.
Yeah.
Obviously, like you get benefits like performance bump, right?
Right.
As they update
Right.
the internals with Apple Silicon. But yeah, I think David's right. The main focus here is just getting as many products in their lineup up to speed in order to support Apple Intelligence.
Yep.
That's kind of been like the big thing. So here we are with the iPad Air that has M3 in it. Still available in the two sizes, 11-inch and 13-inch, and I believe the starting price point has not been changed as well. $599 and $799 respectively, right? Depending on the size that you go with. For 128 gigs of base storage, we'll come back to that one because you guys, if you've been watching for a while, you know how I feel about 128 gigs of base storage in now 2025, and we
Yeah.
still have that base storage sitting around. So, not a fan of that, but when you look at the iPad, it just screams
Same.
internal refresh. And the iPad Air is kind of in this like interesting spot with Apple's lineup. It kind of always has been ever since
Yeah.
they brought it out, where it's like the idea is it wants to strike a balance between giving you good features at the price point like the iPad, right? But then give you some pro-like features if you wanted to use it for more productivity-based tasks. Like
Right.
it has like a next-gen Magic Keyboard,
Yeah. That is
right?
also
With
out.
like the updated trackpad and stuff like that, like the bigger trackpad and stuff. It's available in white as far as the Magic Keyboard goes, no other colors. We have some other changes as well. It supports Apple Pencil Pro
And the USB-C
and the USB-C Apple Pencil. So just like I mentioned on the M4 iPad Pro review,
Yes, I do remember.
second gen magnetic Apple Pencil is phased out for the iPad Air as
Let's take a minute of silence.
well. Yeah. RIP second gen Apple Pencil. But outside of that, it's a very familiar iPad, especially if you got into the iPad Air in 2022 or 2024. It's going to feel and look very familiar.
Big time. And I think we're at a point where even on the outside, when you look at the design, there's nothing new. And it's not a bad thing just because if it's something that's working in the past, they're gonna keep using that same design, that same style, and the same look. But I would not expect this to be an upgrade, at least visually, just because it's not. It's the same thing that you've seen on the previous iPad Air models.
Yeah.
It's the same thing you see in the iPad minis, but bigger.
Yeah.
And it's also very, very similar to the iPad Pros.
Yeah, it's almost indistinguishable from the 2024 model.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, to be fair, is there a lot that they can improve on? No, it's a great design. But I don't think Apple's, at least with this model, they're not aiming for people to feel like they're getting something that's newer, but it's for those that don't have access to the features that are now up to date. Now they're getting it on this product.
Yeah.
So it's, the same unibody aluminum enclosure, the single camera, the magnets on the back, the speaker grills on the top and bottom with 2 speakers and 2 microphones,
Yep.
and the camera that's horizontal. So goodbye to the vertical camera, which was also gone in
The
the
vertical
last
camera
generation.
was gone in the 2024
So that's not
model,
even
yeah.
a new thing.
Yeah.
But
For center stage with Face ID.
and not Face ID on this one though.
Oh,
Touch ID.
sorry. Yeah.
Yes.
Center stage with FaceTime.
Yes, for
Yeah.
FaceTime camera.
No Face ID, Touch ID.
Yeah, so Touch ID on this device. You do have USB-C, but it's not Thunderbolt. It is just USB-C, I believe 2.0. So there you have that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's gonna feel like we're gonna say that a lot of things are the same, and it's true, but that's because everything that changed, everything that got upgraded, it's on the inside.
Yeah. FaceTime, not Face ID.
Yes,
Too many faces.
face. But speaking of faces, the
FaceTime, not Face ID.
we got that.
Yeah.
The face of the iPad is also the same. I told you I was gonna say same so many
Yeah.
times this video.
And face.
And face. FaceTime, not Face ID. The display of this iPad is identically the same as last generations. If anything,
Yeah.
you can take the old one and put it on this
You
one,
wouldn't tell.
and you would not be able to tell the difference. It's the same resolution, the same liquid retina display that Apple likes to fancy call for some reason, even though it's just a 60 hertz display.
Yeah.
Personally, if you're used to 60 hertz, by all means, there's nothing wrong with it. If anything, it's a great quality display that is very durable, great color reproduction. But if you're used to 120, it is going to be really difficult for you to take a step down. So if you're used to having your computer at 120 and your phone at 120, getting an iPad that has 60 will feel very odd.
It'll feel strange.
Especially when you're switching back and forth
Yeah,
between
it'll feel
those
very
devices.
strange.
So at the end of the day, same display. They didn't even try. They
Yeah.
didn't even try.
Yeah. And as far as internals go, we already kind of touched on it a little bit, but it's rocking M3. So
Yeah.
a lot of what comes on this iPad Air, like we mentioned, is going to be the balance between it's going to give you good performance,
Yeah.
right? In a lot of categories, the display is good. I would argue and say that M3 is actually really, really good, but it seems like Apple, just for cost saving measures, is leaving M4 obviously for the iPad Pro,
Right.
along with other upgrades that increase the price.
Yeah.
Right, but we're also seeing M4 on MacBook Air. It's obviously already on MacBook Pro, right? So they throw M3 in there. It's going to give you fantastic. M3 performs really well.
And honestly, dude, even M1 to this day, it's still a great chip.
Yeah,
For daily usage.
At one point in time, you could buy an M3 MacBook Pro, and that thing was going to edit videos in like Final Cut Pro, Premiere, DaVinci
Right.
Resolve just fine, like 4K heavy videos.
Yeah.
Right? So like this is a little bit of an overshare, but like the computer I use for work, my day-to-day career, is an M1 Max. And I'm editing videos
Yeah.
with that, right?
Yeah.
So M3, especially on an iPad like this, is going to be very capable. You
Oh,
pair it
100%.
with a Magic Keyboard, you pair it with an Apple Pencil. For what a lot of people are going to buy this iPad for, M3 is going to last you forever.
Yeah.
And it's going to be able to do even up to things like basic photo editing, right?
Right.
Like you're going to be
Right.
able to handle basic photo editing just fine on this. If you're going to use it to send and receive email, browse the web, respond back to messages and iMessage and stuff like that, FaceTime, not Face ID, it's going to be absolutely perfect for those performance benefits, right?
Yeah. 100%.
And then obviously with M3, Apple Intelligence, you want to...
Which, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, that is probably the biggest reason why we have new upgraded internals, just because Apple Intelligence does require a certain level of power for it to be efficient, for it to respond, for it to be able to give you results at a certain time. And probably to not to crash at all, just because Apple Intelligence is very heavy on your device. So that will be probably, in my opinion, the one thing that can make this iPad stutter if you use it a lot, especially with image generation and Apple AI, Siri, and writing assistant and photo editing and all those things. If you're using them at the same time, there's going to be so much happening in the background that it might make your iPad feel like it's lagging a little bit.
Apple Intelligence makes my 16 Pro warm.
Very
Like, especially the image generation
Oh
part.
yeah. Well, if you haven't used Genmoji, side
yes,
note, it is honestly the best feature that I've used on
But
an
it will
iPhone
make your
60.
device warm.
It'll cook
iPhone,
it.
yeah, Genmoji on the 16 Pro,
Yes.
my iPhone gets very, very warm.
Dude,
when
I
use that.
I feel like I'm an artist, man. Those things, I've made some great emojis with that thing. I've sent you a couple.
Yeah, he texts me really stupid emojis
They're
now.
great.
It's
Back to the iPad. That's what you get. That's what you get. You get a great chip, really powerful, especially if you're using it for something like entertainment or education, things that are, yes, work intensive, but also not crazy with a heavy load. You're not going to feel anything. It's going to be super smooth. It's going to be super powerful and efficient. But AI is what will add on top of your experience to make it even better, but also a little bit heavier on the usage.
Yeah, it's going to be a great iPad for 99% of Apple's customers.
Big time.
And in case you're curious, the selfie camera is absolutely identical to the 2024 M2.
The FaceTime one, not the Face ID.
The FaceTime camera with center stage, not the Face
Yes.
ID, because this does not have
It
Face
does
ID.
not have Face ID.
It does not have Face ID,
I don't
just
think
Touch
we
ID.
mentioned it this video.
Yeah.
But let me make sure that you
In
guys
case
know.
you're unaware,
Yeah.
the iPad Air does not have Face ID.
Take some notes.
Right. Thank you. And then the rear camera is also exactly identical to the 2024 M2 iPad Air.
Yeah.
Absolutely identical. And in case you're wondering, guess what the battery is like?
Maybe the same.
It's absolutely identical down to the single digit milliamp hour.
That's crazy.
Absolutely identical. Cameras, battery, exactly the same.
Yeah.
And how about the colors? I'll let you go ahead.
You want to take a guess on that one too? Because I think they can take a guess and they can probably guess
Yeah.
pretty correctly.
Yeah.
We're looking at the same colors: space gray, starlight blue, and purple.
Yep.
Um,
The blue color's nice though.
yeah, and
like a
don't get me
sky
wrong, it is a very nice color.
Purple's
I like
nice
the
too.
Purple.
Purple's
Yeah.
like a lavender purple.
Yeah,
It's subtle but looks really, really good.
Dude, purple makes me feel some kind of way, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're looking at $599 for the 11-inch and $799 for the 13-inch. We have 128, which 2025, we've said it many times.
Yep.
2025, can you get away with 128 in your device? Sure. Are you gonna survive? Good luck, dude. You're on your own. You get 256, you get 512, and a terabyte, up to a terabyte on your iPad Air.
Yeah.
The thing about the iPad Air at a terabyte is we're looking at 1100
Yeah.
for your 11-inch iPad and 1300 for your 13-inch iPad. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is insane because that's not including accessories, that's not including tax, that's not including Apple Care. That's just the base bare bones of your
Especially
iPad.
if you wanted cellular.
That's true.
'Cause
That's
an
just the
option as
Wi-Fi
well.
only.
That's just the Wi-Fi only.
That's what's really interesting about iPad lineups is that you can configure them and they do this so intentionally.
Apple is the master of scaling their prices.
Because
They
you
are
get
the
lost.
master.
Once you start building up your iPad with more storage, with cellular, whatever the option is,
Accessories.
you end up getting yourself into a range of a completely different product that's on a different bracket.
A superior product.
A superior
in most
product,
cases.
yeah.
Yeah.
In this case, being the iPad Pro or even a MacBook Air or even a MacBook Pro. So depending on what you need, you have to be really limited on your options because unless you truly need 512, keep it at 256.
I would say the closest competing, like they're obviously different use case scenarios.
Right,
They're
right.
different use case scenarios. Someone who might want an iPad because it has touchscreen and Apple Pencil
Right.
might not even consider
A computer.
the fact that after a couple of things, 256 keyboard pencil, you're at M4 MacBook Air that
Yeah.
just dropped. You're at entry level M4 MacBook Air for $1,000.
Yeah.
But again, that's only if you're considering all their products.
Right.
If you strictly want an iPad, then that doesn't apply.
Right.
But again, eventually you could start climbing into iPad Pro territory without
Yeah.
keyboard and pencil.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So please do your research when it comes to what you need. We can't make that decision for you because you're the one that knows what you're truly going to use it for. But at least we can help you decide on where to stop.
Yeah.
Because unless you really need a specific configuration or a specific option for Wi-Fi only or with the 5G band, don't upgrade.
Yeah.
Just because you will fall into the trap of wanting to get the better model or the bigger Pro or whatever it is, just because that's what Apple does and that's what they're known for.
Yeah, but I think if you have a specific use case for this and you can find a configuration that makes sense, this is going to be a great iPad for someone who wants like a good daily iPad.
Yes.
And also a nice mix of power and productivity thrown in.
Big time.
Or even for like a creative student that wants to draw.
Right.
Utilize an Apple Pencil, but you might not necessarily want the price tag that comes with the Pro.
Right.
The iPad Pro.
Maybe it's just to learn, maybe just to get started. It is a great product for something like that.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, for sure. But
Here we are.
yeah, we'll be talking about the MacBook Air, the M4
M4.
MacBook Air next.
Big time.
We have a lot of stuff to get to, man.
Yeah.
We have
It'll
a lot
be a
of
good
stuff
year.
to get to.
I am
Nothing,
really
nothing
excited.
just dropped new phones too.
They dropped nothing?
That two nothings.
Oh, that's
two
crazy.
two nothing.
Two
phones.
big nothings coming up soon. So please stay tuned. Let us know if you have any questions. Let us know if you want to see a specific product getting reviewed.
Yep, and subscribe if you're new.
Please do.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for watching.
Till the next one.
Peace.